Thank you for tuning in. Today we are going to be doing one of my all-time favorite games, Sonic the Hedgehog. This is the updated version for the PlayStation 3, which unfortunately with the PlayStation 3 controls it's a little stiffer than what I'm used to for the Sega Genesis. But all the same, I wanted to show you this game that was a large part of my childhood. I played this game to death growing up. I was a Sega Genesis kid. And this is the game that got me hooked on video games and why it's become such a big part of my life in general. So without any further ado, let's get started. Green Hill Zone. So every Sonic game starts off with the same sort of happy-go-lucky grasslands area. Anyone who's familiar with the series will recognize these levels. And, well, this is probably one of the best levels in the game in terms of speed. And I'm just going to show you a couple little things that I do whenever I play, the paths that I take. And maybe I'll show you something new. Probably not. If you've played this game for as long as I have, there isn't much new to discover anymore. Probably there are people out there that can show me a thing or two with this game. But regardless, this is kind of like for fun playthrough, and I plan on doing the whole series, at least the classic 16-bit ones. Definitely not going to do 4 unless people request it and want my honest opinions on that piece of garbage. But I'm going to do Sonic 1 for you, then 2, I'm going to do the HD remake of Sonic CD. And as long as I can get it to look decent, I will do Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is the... And I already failed the first special stage. Special stages in Sonic 1 are fairly easy. There's only 6 Chaos Emeralds to collect. There's nothing too special about them. Nothing happens. You don't turn into Super Sonic like you do in later games. But, you know, basically, all it does is it gives you a better ending, rather than Robotnik standing there juggling Chaos Emeralds saying, try again. Basically, the ending is Robotnik stomping on the words, end. Well, the word, end. Which is kind of humorous, considering Robotnik is a, a rotund-looking figure. And notice I'm calling him Robotnik. I do not care about Eggman. I understand that that is his original name in Japan, from what I know, but to me he's always Robotnik and always will be Robotnik, so anyone who thinks that I'm being sacrilegious by calling him Robotnik, whatever. So yeah, I always just zip through that, and, I'm Sonic, you can't catch me. Ah, crap. Totally screw that up. Oh well. Of course, this happens when I'm doing a live playthrough. But, that's the fun of doing these videos, is anything can happen at any time, so not too worried about it. So, there are, I believe, 6 levels total in this game. Each one consisting of 3 acts apiece. You've got your Green Hill Zone for level 1. You got Marble the Marble Zone for level 2. You've got Spring Yard Zone for your 3rd level, which I love that level. I love the music in that level. It's a nice precursor to the casino levels that end up following in the series later on, and just overall is a fun level for me. And then you have everyone's least favorite level in any Sonic game because it has water, Labyrinth Zone, which is probably one of the biggest pains in the ass levels I've ever played in a Sonic game. And then you have the Starlight Zone, which is one of my personal favorites again, and then Scrap Brain. And then the final zone, which really doesn't count as a zone because it's essentially a continuation of Scrap Brain. It's just a way to end the game. Oh. Spun too early. No big. Do 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 do. And did I mention how much I enjoy the music of this series? Like, this is, next to the Castlevania series and Final Fantasy, this is probably one of my favorite video game soundtracks. Castlevania, that's another game series I want to show everybody. Specifically, Symphony of the Night, which is probably one of my favorite PlayStation 1 games of all time. And it, ironically enough, I did not play that game when it first came out. I didn't play it until I downloaded it off of the PlayStation Network store, which is really funny because it's right up my alley in terms of the types of games that I like. Now, every Robotnik machine takes 8 hits, and this one is ridiculously easy. You just dodge the ball, except I didn't right there. And yeah, that's about it. That's all she wrote. And in this game, the special stages are the large rings that you get at the end of the acts. Basically, in order to trigger that large ring, you have to collect 50 rings in the stage and have that when you pass the goal. So if I don't get all the Chaos Emeralds, it's no big deal. But when I do play Sonic 2, I am going to try and go for all the Chaos Emeralds so I can do the good ending and get Supersonic and all that good stuff. Which, by the way, I will warn, if you don't like the Supersonic theme in Sonic 2, I'm sorry, because I try to get Supersonic as early in the game as possible. It is possible to get him right at the beginning of the game in the first level, which I'll do my best to show you, but those special stages, especially on the PS3 version of this game, are really annoying. So yeah, this is Marble Zone. You go from Green Hill Zone, which is a pretty speedy level, to this, which is more like, I don't know, it's a slow-moving, non-Sonic-y type level, and love the soundtrack to it, much like every other level in the game, but I don't know, this level, the acts tend to drag, and I just feel it kills the pace of this game, because you start off going so fast, and it's like, oh my god, this is awesome, and then you get to this level, it's like, what? I just got hit by like 100 pounds of slowness. So, I don't know. And for anyone who's wondering, who actually watched my Metal Gear playthrough, if you're wondering when I'm going to do Metal Gear 2, I am planning on doing it sometime in the near future. The only thing that keeps me from doing these videos more frequently is just time. I do work, you know, a regular job and everything, so unfortunately, not a lot of free time to devote to doing this. I'm actually on vacation this week, which is why I'm going to try and do a few of these videos, is because I will have some free time and want to give some love to my YouTube channel and, you know, show everyone what retro gaming is really about. And on a side note, while I'm talking about Metal Gear and everything, it is February 8th, and Game Informer just announced that their next cover is Metal Gear Solid 5, and it's going to be all about Ground Zeroes, which is coming out next month, and The Phantom Pain, and yeah, I totally screwed that up. And I guess there's a lot of controversy about Ground Zeroes, and that it's only going to be 2 hours in length for like the main mission. I'll touch on that more if I get a chance to do the Metal Gear 2 playthrough this week. But I think people are getting really worked up over it because it's not really a full-length game from the sounds of it, but it's not a full-price game either. PlayStation 4 physical copy of it is $40. PlayStation 3 physical copy is 30. PlayStation 3 downloadable copy is only 20. So, I mean, does it suck that we're only getting partial game for it? Yeah, it does, but at the same time, it's whetting my appetite for a game that's probably well over a year away. And considering how much I love that series and just how freaking amazing it looks, I think it's worth it. Plus, there's going to be a lot of extra content to it, extra missions, and from what I'm hearing, the mechanics of it are similar to Peace Walker in that a lot of the extra ops will bleed through over to the Phantom Pain and will actually help you out in the Phantom Pain, so it'll be worth it. Regardless, the other news today is that I picked up a PlayStation 4 with my tax return money. And so what did I decide to do? I haven't even unpackaged it yet. I decided to create a playthrough of Sonic 1. So, retro gaming wins out over modern gaming. But that's fine with me because retro gaming is the bomb. As much as I love my modern games, I love my retro games even more. And another thing too, I really am trying to get other folks to join me on these commentaries, so that way it's not just me like talking in monologue all the time. And you know, if anyone who's watching is interested or whatever, you know, we can work something out, maybe do something on Skype and do like a little commentary track together or do something. I do have some people I know locally that I'd really like to get together to do like a retro gaming roundtable or something while we're doing something like this. Ultimately, I would love to try and do like a long play of like one of the Final Fantasy games or something like that. But obviously, challenge there is that Final Fantasy is an insanely long game to try and showcase. So it might be a situation where, especially with like the battles and the grinding, either I do like short little chunks with people, or you know, just try and make it manageable to showcase those games. And not really sure which one I want to do first. I've really been playing a lot of 6 lately. I finished a really long playthrough of 7, which anyone who follows me on Twitter will know that not only was it a really long playthrough, but I got to the end of Disc 1, I had Eris powered up with Great Gospel Limit Break, which is her level 4 Limit Break, and it was probably the most intense grinding I'd ever done in Final Fantasy VII, considering the first time I played it, I didn't really grind ever. But I digress. So, I'm really sucking it up right now, because I'm already past Act 2 Marble Zone. I've only collected 1 Chaos Emerald. Hopefully this will make 2. But I am not looking good right now to get all 6, because it's damn near impossible for me to get 50 rings in any act in Labyrinth Zone. So, if I don't get the good ending, like I said, it's not a big deal, because it's really not that flashy of an ending. But I am going to try my darndest. So, anyone who's familiar with this knows, yeah, that was close, that these special stages are incredibly trippy. It's funny, too, because it's like you got the birds and the fish switching in the background. So I guess if you don't like fish and you don't like birds, it's not a fun background to be staring at. And, of course, the constant rotation, which is, I don't know what it's meant to do, but I think it's just meant to disorient you. But, no big. So, I did get the second emerald, which is good. So, now on to Act 3, and then we'll be closer and closer. And, yeah, this is a pretty short game. When I'm playing at my top, I can usually beat this with all the Chaos Emeralds in about an hour, if not less. If I was going for like a straight speed run, probably about 40 minutes. If I wasn't worried about trying to collect all the rings and do the Chaos Emeralds and stuff, but don't know what happened there. Just all of a sudden got blinded. And this is why I hate Marble Zone. Waiting. But I do like doing that. What's wrong, Sonic? You gonna trip? You gonna fall? Oh, okay. Alright. So there's a nice little way to bypass a huge chunk of this level. And it's right here. And you get an extra life for the trouble. And this basically spits you out way up at the top of this long path. And up... What the hell? Collision detection. And this basically spits you up all the way at the top of the level. You just have this little platforming section to go through, and then you're pretty much at the end. So a level that would probably take about 3.5 minutes takes about 2, which is nice. Here we go. What's he got for us? Not much. Yeah, no contest, as usual. Eggman, rather Robotnik. he's not too clever. He never will learn that Sonic is just better overall than him, and can always defeat his contraptions. But what you gonna do? Oh, and while I'm thinking of it, did anyone else see the announcement of Sonic Boom? I really don't know what to think. I mean, personally, the Sonic series lost me a long time ago. I was willing to forgive, you know, the Adventure series, because those are at least kind of fun, but I don't know, the redesign for Sonic Boom, just, I don't know what they're trying to go for, and I don't know, the Sonic has not been relevant to me in terms of new games since, like, the Dreamcast came out, which, you know, was over a decade ago. So I can understand they're still trying to drum up excitement and get people into Sonic or bring back old school Sonic fans, but I don't know, every single time they try to do something, I feel like they just dig Sonic's grave deeper and deeper and deeper, and he's never, ever, ever going to climb out of it. I mean, Sonic 4, like, I got that when it first came out, because I was so pumped that it was like, oh my god, it's side-scrolling Sonic, it's retro. I was kind of cautiously optimistic about it because of the fact that Dimps was working on it, and Dimps did the Sonic Advance series, which a lot of people loved, but I really didn't enjoy. A lot of people were like, oh yeah, Sonic Advance, it's like the classic days of Sonic. I didn't see it. The Sonic Advance games to me were nothing like these. And I don't know, maybe it's just I'm an old school fuddy-duddy when it comes to the Sonic series, but the only Sonic games to me that matter are the ones that came out on the Genesis, which is sad that, like, the best games in the series are, you know, 20-something years old now. I mean, this is Sonic 1, came out in America in, what, 91? So you're looking at a game that's, what's it? It's 2014, so it's, you know, 23 years old now. I mean, Sonic 2 came out in 1992. I remember when that game came out. That was the year that we actually got our Sega Genesis. And that game blew my mind. And that came out in 92. And to me, that was the pinnacle of the Sonic series, that game. Sonic 3 Knuckles is great, don't get me wrong. Fantastic game. Love it. But to me, Sonic 2 is always going to be my favorite of the series. Although I do enjoy Sonic CD a lot too. But I think in terms of just pure Sonic, 2 is best. CD is interesting with the time traveling elements and everything. And 3 I like because it broadens the universe of the series a little bit, because you get the introduction of Knuckles. You know, you get all the developments on Angel Island and the Master Emeralds, and you know, you get this larger plot in that game. Which, by the way, you can't just play Sonic 3 on its own. You have to play Sonic 3 with Sonic and Knuckles locked onto it, because if you don't, then you're missing out. The whole experience is Sonic 3 and Knuckles. There is a whole overarching story that, like, if you just play each game separate, no, it doesn't work. It's a shame that Sega kind of ran out of time when they were developing that game. From what I understand of that game's development, they ran out of time, and they kind of were running out of money because they knew that it was going to be too expensive to develop a cart as large as they needed to hold that game, which is why they did the lock-on thing. But I mean, it ended up working out. It took me forever to actually get a copy of Sonic and Knuckles. Begged my parents like crazy that Christmas, I remember. Anyone who remembers that ad with the 2 elves talking to Santa Claus and talking to him about the lock-on technology, the revolutionary lock-on technology of the Sonic and Knuckles cart. Oh my god. Those were the good old days. Sega does what Nintendo don't days. Which, by the way, I hold no grudges. I love Nintendo as much as I love my Sega. But as a kid, it was always Sega. But I did miss out on some really good games, though. Not having a Super Nintendo, because basically, you know, my family wasn't, like, we were comfortable. We had enough money to get one console. But it was either we got the Genesis or we got the Super Nintendo, and we all wanted the Genesis in my house because of Sonic and some of the other games, too. So that's what we got. And no regrets. I love the Sega Genesis, and I still do to this day. I still have my Jenny. Actually, it's not my original Jenny. That ended up, my sisters took that, and I forget what she did with it, but regardless. I still own a Jenny. Much like when I was a kid, I don't have a Super Nintendo. The consoles I have hooked up to my TV right now are the consoles that I owned as a kid. I have an Atari, I have a Genesis, and I have an NES. I never owned an SNES. And, you know, everyone is probably screaming right now saying, oh my god, how do you not have an SNES? Trust me, I want one. But at the same time, all the games that I still own original copies of from when I was a kid are Genesis. And I'd have to build a whole new library of SNES. But I mean, not having the SNES, I missed out on some really good RPGs, and I never really got into RPGs until I got a PlayStation and played Final Fantasy VII for the first time. So it's kind of funny how things work out. Once that came out, and I played that, I was hooked. And then I went back and I played all the games that I had missed. I played Chrono Trigger, played Final Fantasy IV, played Final Fantasy VI, played Final Fantasy V. I actually borrowed someone's Nintendo so I could play the original Final Fantasy for the NES because I was that into the series at that time. I mean, of course the Zelda series too. I mean, Link to the Past is my favorite game in that series. Always will be. But I mean, I didn't play it much as a kid because, like, I didn't actually own a copy of it until it came out on the Game Boy Advance. So I've never had a physical Super Nintendo copy of it. When I did have a Nintendo Wii a few years ago, I did have it for the Virtual Console. But, you know, I ended up giving the Wii off because I never played it. I got a PS3. I first got the Wii because, you know, the hype around it and everything, and Wii Sports. But, I don't know, it just didn't have enough games. I loved Mario Galaxy. That was a great game. But there wasn't really much that kept me playing it. And then I ended up getting a PlayStation 3 when they dropped in price, and that brought me back in the fold of the PlayStation consoles, because I had actually been sitting out the previous generation for a long time. Because I wasn't sure what I really wanted. But then I realized all the games that I want were coming out on PlayStation, so... Plus I want a Blu-ray player. So, kill two birds with one stone, I suppose. But... I mean, now, this generation, I immediately went with PlayStation 4. Because all the game series I want are on the Sony console. So, just did Spring Yard Zone while I completely went off on a huge tangent about the most random topics. So, Labyrinth Zone. Everyone hates this level. You will see why. It's water, which is like Sonic's biggest enemy. It's a maze, which isn't that bad. But it's got this really cheerful music. So you hear that ding? That's your indicator of how much longer you have to go before you run out of breath. So you have to use one of those large air bubbles. I don't even know why I'm explaining this, because anyone who's watching this has already played this game like a million times over. For like the two of you who haven't played this, yeah, you have to gulp air from those large air bubbles, otherwise Sonic drowns. Because apparently Yuji Naka, the creator of the series, didn't realize that hedgehogs could swim. So he just had made the assumption that, yeah, hedgehogs don't swim, so Sonic's gonna drown. Which is why the water levels are so hated. Alright, let's get this, and then get sucked in there. I'm probably a little bit too cautious with the air, but it's better to be too cautious and gulp air like crazy than have the dreaded countdown start, which is like, oh, as a kid that thing gave me a heart attack so many times, because first time it happens you're not expecting it, and then once you get used to it you do your best to avoid it. It's basically like the Jaws theme on steroids. It's the best way to describe it. I really ought to just let it happen, just so you can see how crazy it is. Alright. Some careful timed jumps. Don't want to lose my bubble. Or my rings, considering how far behind I am on Chaos Emerald Collection. Alright. Check, please. Okay. Yeah, if I go silent, it's because I'm trying really hard not to screw up on some of this platforming. Precision platforming on the PlayStation 3 version of this game is a little more difficult than it is on the Genesis, so... Oh my god. Do not knock my shield. Alright, I'll let you shoot those things off. I'm not taking any chances with you, dude. He looks mean. I wonder what happened to him that made him so upset. There we go. Yeah, so 3 minutes in this level. That's also because I'm taking my time and trying to be as careful as possible. As soon as I get out of Labyrinth Zone, I like... This is like a battle of attrition, getting through Labyrinth Zone. The most nerve-wracking level in this whole game for me. Especially the final boss fight. When I was a kid, it gave me so much trouble. Like, I had nightmares about it, probably. Yeah, I was a huge Sonic fan as a kid. And I actually drew my own Sonic the Hedgehog comic books. I used to collect the Archie Sonic comic books. If anyone remembers the Archie comics. They still make them, I think. Although now it's vastly different, and it's more of the modern version of Sonic, which... Why is this giving me so much trouble? This is the first one. It's based more on the modern version of Sonic than the old one, which was based on the Saturday morning Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. God. Memories. See what happens when you retro game kids? You start remembering your childhood, which is nice. Kind of takes you back to when things didn't suck as bad as they do as an adult. When you had no cares in the world, when your only care was defeating Robotnik and trying to beat Labyrinth Zone on your 12th try. Alright, I am wasting this invincible here. Boom, 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 do, 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 do. Now, who remembers the two cartoons that aired during the 90s? The aforementioned Saturday morning Sonic the Hedgehog, and then the atrocious Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, the second-rate Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. Here we go. That was the sound of nightmares right there, kids. What? How did that... That has never happened before. That pisses me off. And yeah, this bubble doesn't give you air. I remember the first time I played it, I thought it would. That doesn't happen until Sonic 3, when they have the different elemental shields. Which actually, it kind of breaks the game in Sonic 3, because when you do Hydro City Zone, Hydrocity, or however you want to pronounce it, yeah, it kind of breaks it, because where's the challenge in an underwater level if you can't drown? Alright, I still have time to get 10 rings. If I can get 10 rings, I'm golden. Yeah. I have to be really careful. I don't know if it's just me, but I seem like I'm getting a lot of bugs. No. Alright, phew. Nothing worse than getting hit by that guy when you're this close to the end of the level. Which I am. Now this one, you can duck under. And you can actually see the spikes. There's the last one. And breath. And bop it and free an animal. Free an animal today. So Dan, what did you do in your spare time today? Oh, I was a blue hedgehog. I was freeing animals. It was crazy. Yeah. I'm golden now. Now it's just a matter of getting this last Chaos Emerald, and then I don't have to worry about collecting rings. So here we go. No pressure. Oh, this one. I hate this one. No, stop. The ones that are like wide open are more difficult than the ones that you have to navigate a maze to get to the Chaos Emerald, I feel. Anyone ever notice that? Oh my god, stop. Stop. Oh. Come on. There we go. Nice. Got them all. Persistence pays off, kids. That's what I learned playing Sonic the Hedgehog. You just gotta be persistent. Once you persist, things do happen. Good things. Now, the trick to this is rolling into a ball on the second waterfall. Otherwise, you will never, ever get to the end of this. This level freaked me out the first time I played it, this particular act. Because then you hear it close. Wait a minute, what happened? What happened? So, you're kind of trapped with only one option. Move on or move on. .org. .com.org. Now, I'm going to take the faster path, which is down this way, and it's more of a, I guess, suicide route, maybe? I'm not sure. Because you get much fewer rings for the quote-unquote boss fight that you face at the end of this stage. Not sure if you can qualify the Robotnik machine at the end of this stage as a true boss fight, because you're not really fighting him. It's more of an annoying obstacle course, which I guarantee I'm going to die in at least once or twice before I get through it. So, that will pad out my gameplay time. There we go. And, yeah. Boom. Still, you get like that death theme when you're drowning, and then once you get the breath, the music starts back up, and it's just so happy-go-lucky. It's like, hey, this is Labyrinth Zone, everything's great. You're underwater, you're gonna drown, but you know what? That's fine. Alright. So here we go. Making our way up this long passage. What possibly could be waiting for us up here? Could it be a trap? And yeah, good idea to get this. Need it. So here we go. And of course, already lost that. And lost my rings. Yeah. I'm downright screwed. Has anyone ever actually made it before the water got to the top? I've come close a couple of times. Yeah, shut up. There we go. Did it in one try, even though everything looked like I wasn't going to. Phew. That one always gets to me. I'm glad I was able to do it, though. Alright, so Starlight Zone. One of my favorite soundtracks in the game. I think I say that about like every single level in this game. The soundtrack just rocks. I hate how they have it set up. The Invincible is the first box you hit if you get full velocity. And you've already wasted half of it if you try and collect every ring. And I always take the higher path when possible. So yeah, Starlight Zone is just kind of a relaxing level. Sort of a reward after the hell that you went through in Labyrinth Zone. Yeah, I don't really care about these guys. What are they gonna do? A peach? Yeah, that's what I thought. Haha. Yeah, you can't catch me. I don't know why, but when I was a kid, this theme song used to remind me of the theme song to The Price is Right. I don't know why. It's the most random thing to think of when I hear this music, but it honestly made me think of the Price is Right theme. I don't know why. I was a strange fucking kid. What can I tell you? My whole life as a kid was Sonic and Star Wars. Which, you know, obviously I like Star Wars. I've done a full playthrough of one of my favorite Star Wars games ever, Jedi Knight. Someday I will get to Jedi Outcast. Someday. Not sure when, but it's not at the top of my list right now. I'm trying to go really retro and do the 16-bit stuff, and possibly some 8-bit games thrown in there too for good measure. Now if you keep jumping, you can come back in front and score some extra points by getting these little marks. Neat little Easter egg. But I want to know, you know, what games, you know, did you play as a kid? What were the games that really defined your childhood? You know, for me, obviously, Sonic the Hedgehog, big one. Rocket Knight Adventures was another one. That's another game that I definitely want to do a playthrough for, because Rocket Knight Adventures is just so damn fun, and it's so underrated. It is one of those games that I wish had gotten better publicity and better sales, because, I mean, it got sequels, but sequels were nowhere near as good as the original. The original was like, it was a perfect Konami game. It was challenging, it had great music, great level design. Oh my god, just thinking about it just makes me geek out. I love Rocket Knight Adventures so much. That's another one I'm gonna do. Not sure when, but I will. Wow, that was close. It definitely deserves my love of a Let's Play. But, anyways, almost done with Starlight. One more act, and then we'll be on to Scrap Brain. So it's looking like I'm about 42 minutes in right now, so not too bad, all things considered. A couple false starts at the beginning, and yeah, I don't know why, but in this version of the game, Sonic has a harder time sticking to that wall. I feel like the physics in this version aren't the same as in the Genesis. Like, when they converted it to the PlayStation Network, like, something got lost in terms of the physics or something. There's just something off. And it's not just the controls. I think it's the... They did something to it. But, I don't know, maybe the physics were like this and I was just better coordinated when I was a kid. That's entirely good possibility. And you can totally avoid getting hit by any of that just by ducking. So great. If it's not on the screen, it's not going to hurt you. That's the basic idea there. And hop up here. Yeah! Blast processing! Ah! Yeah, blast processing. That was the gimmick for the Genesis. Super Nintendo had Mode 7 scaling. The Genesis had blast processing. It's just so funny, the marketing gimmicks. And I was like, it's pretty much who cares? I mean, you still have the fanboys for each console saying like, oh, I like this one more than this one because, you know, of this. It's like, you know what? When it comes down to the console wars, you get the console that has the games that you want to play. That's all that boils down to. One's not inherently better than the other. Even back in the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo days, they both had their strengths, they both had their weaknesses. And they both had awesome games. It was just a matter of which games you wanted to play more. And I think people forget that, especially nowadays. Like, I don't know why, but people on the internet just want to whine and bitch and moan about everything. It's like, can't you just enjoy what you've got? I mean, we've got these amazing game consoles, this amazing technology, which, you know, you go back to, you know, over 40 years ago now, and, like, you look how far it's come. I mean, come on. Games shouldn't be tearing us apart, they should be bringing us together. They're fun. I mean, I buy a PlayStation because it's got games I want. I've got nothing against the Xbox or anything. I've got nothing against Microsoft. But it's just, I choose to go PlayStation because it's got the games that I want on it. Just like when I was a kid, I chose the Sega Genesis because it had the games that I wanted on it. It wasn't that like, oh, I hate Nintendo. I love Nintendo. If it wasn't for Nintendo, there would be no Mario, there'd be no Zelda. We wouldn't have the game industry we have now. But, I don't know, people just, they cling on to stuff, you know, and then they make these arguments, and people just like to start shit, I guess, is what it boils down to. You know, why can't we just have fun? This is why we play games. We play games to have fun. We don't play games to get mad at people for choosing to play a different game than what we like. You know, I'm not going to yell at you if you decide to get an Xbox One, you know, and I wouldn't expect you to say anything about me having a PlayStation 4. You know, or, you know, having a Super Nintendo as a kid. I'm not going to tease you for that or say you were an idiot or anything like that. It's like, you know what? You game. More power to you. You game. We all game. This is what we do. So, public service announcement. Yeah, so this is Scrap Brain Zone. It's basically just this long power plant type stage. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I messed that up. That ending, that little bit there with the platforms is kind of an annoyance for me, but it's a fun level. It's a suitable final level for the game. And once again, the soundtrack shines. I mentioned I like the soundtrack of this game? I think I have. If not, I really like the soundtrack of this game. Oh, I'm cracking myself up. I'm like Jimmy Fallon. Which, by the way, I don't like Jimmy Fallon. So, yeah. Anyway. So, for anyone who's watching this, what is your favorite Sonic game? And why? Like, is there, like, one Sonic game above all that you feel is more Sonic-y than any other? Is there one Sonic game that you absolutely loathe more so than Shadow the Hedgehog? Although that's not really even a Sonic game, that's just a spin-off. A really lousy spin-off at that. And no, I did not play that game because it just looked that bad. Wow, I thought I broke that. There we go. Yay, made it. Pig bomb. Those things bomb you. You don't want to get bombed by little piggies. But you do get hit by exhaust, so might as well have gotten bombed by piggies. Let's take a look at the sky. Yeeh. Look at all that smog. What's Robotnik doing? He's killing the planet. That's what he's doing. He's killing the planet. Alright, Act 2. Now that thing in the background, am I the only one who thinks that looks like a face? They had to have designed it to look like a face. Otherwise, it's just too weird that it's like that. That's a face. It's like this weird face that's just watching you. Watching your progress. It's like, I'm watching you all the time. I'm watching you as you spin on the wheels. One thing I love about the level design for this particular level is the yellow and black, like, caution danger stuff on everything. Really makes it feel industrial. I love it. It's not overused in this level at all. No, definitely not. Up, up. Oh, you're not gonna crush me. A little warp pipe action. And if we go down here, we get an extra life, which I don't even need at this point. I've got a couple continues, which I'm never gonna see. And get right through that. Love 2 seconds of invincibility there. Alright, and there's a big thing right there, which always gets me because the timing of it is just so weird. And there's going to be a couple of them here as we get to the end. I hate these. I hate these. There we go. Act 2 complete. Let's take a breather, Sonic. Wait a minute. Epic boss music. What's this? Robotnik! But I can't get through! What? Ah! Ugh, foiled again. But wait, we're in the basement of Scrap Brain Zone. Now this is a level that I can complete in probably less than a minute. Although since I'm doing a playthrough right now, I probably won't. Yep, I won't. I'll probably die first. Yep. Knew that was gonna happen. Overestimated my abilities. Alright. Try again. Yep, I don't care. Come on. There we go. Yep. And guess what? This is it. That's it. Final zone. This is the game. Hope you're ready, because this boss fight is pretty easy. What the hell was that? Why didn't he spin into a ball? There we go. Hit number 1. So this is it. He tries to crush you in these tubes, and you have to dodge these static electricity balls while you hit him 8 times, as always. Oh, you trickster. He's a trickster. Ah! Yeah, he's trying to foil my plans. Oh, you bastard. I'll get you next time, though. I will. Really? And the thing is, I'm gonna go over here, and then he's gonna come up over here. There we go. They adjusted his pattern on this version of it, I think, because on the Genesis cart, he had a very predictable pattern. He actually followed the same pattern every single time. So you knew exactly where he was going to come out of every single time. There we go. That's what, 5? I think. 3 more. Almost done. I think 1 more should do it. Ah. Nope. remember the first time I got to this boss fight, I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? I didn't realize that Robotnik was in one of these tubes. Alright, and one final insult. Yeah. Alright, so that's Sonic the Hedgehog 1. I hope you enjoyed my little playthrough. I'll let you enjoy the little music mix during the credits, so until next time, until I do my Sonic 2 video, have fun and game on.